You're also someone who is not benefited from our definition of inclusive society.
Yes.
Would you want to share with us why?
Because as you all know, I'm a transgender woman, so it's kind of hard to fit whether I'm in the male category or the female category, because my IC is male, but the way I dress up, the way I live my life is as a female. So which one logically do I fit in?
Let me ask you a very practical, it may be an embarrassing question. Which restroom do you go to?
That's another question that I'm about to ask.
Yeah, which restroom do you go to?
I will go usually to the handicap. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Handicap.
What's the conflict that you face internally?
What
The
do you
fact that you have to go, you can't go to either the male restroom or the female restroom. How does it make you feel?
it's kind of hard for me. So it will be good if there's a solution for a transgender woman who can obtain a female IC without going through the SRS.
SRS stands
Sex,
for
reassignment
sex.
surgery.
What does it stand for?
Reassignment.
Reassignment surgery.
Surgery.
Okay. So until you have the surgery, you will not be classified as a woman, right?
Yes, correct.
Which means that what is your legal status in the meantime?
Male.
Male. So what is your request? What are you hoping for?
So I'm hoping for that for a transgender woman, that's maybe there is a consideration of giving them, a new how to say, forgo the need of going for the SRS to obtain a female IC. Because as for me, I'm dressing as a woman because I believe in my heart I'm a woman, and if I can't go to the female's toilet because I'm a male, so I have to resort going to the handicap toilet, and it will regard to the human right of my right as a human.
Sure.
I feel violated by all this.
No, but if I could share this with you, if I were a policy maker, I would be in a dilemma as to what to do. Because if I allow you, because you've got male sex organs, if I allow you to go to a female toilet, I may not be fair to the women. You see, policymakers have the dilemma of having to make policy that's fair to the vast majority, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're biased against you, right? On the other hand, you don't feel that you are a man. Therefore, you don't feel comfortable going to a male toilet. Now, that is a dilemma, and it's understandable. But from a legal point of view, what recourse is there from a legal point of view? For someone like
I
Shirley?
had a very interesting case very early on. I think it was in the early 1970s. This lady I met in Hamburg, in Germany, and she wanted my help to get herself as registered as a female, because each time she goes through customs and immigration, she gets frisked. Because her passport says she's male. She's really very, very female.
Yeah.
And she says, "Can you please help me?" And in those days, there was no recognition of any kind. So we have moved a lot to now, when you go through the SRS, then at least you will get female on your identity card. But your birth certificate, you cannot change. Yeah. So at least there's some movement there, which I think at some point of time is true. If you don't you don't do the surgery and all that, it's difficult to get how to classify, is it? Classify you.
That would be a problem. I mean, how do you classify? Because technically, you are a male still, because you have not had the surgery, right? Kimga?
So
Sorry,
my
but
empathy
it's good.
lies with you completely, but I think you have to make some kind of a decision there.
Yeah.
Can I make a very quick point?
Yes, please.
Just to point out that SRS surgeries are not provided in Singapore. You have to go to Thailand to do it, and it can cost up to $10,000.
Yes, yes.
It used to be provided during
SS Ratnam.
Yes, Dr. Ratnam, Professor Ratnam's time, and it was quite progressive during that time, and that's how I got his help to change this lady's this thing, because she went through the reassignment, to make her female, and then she got a passport which says she is female. But let me tell you that it was a difficult journey, and it was through Professor Ratnam, who really helped me. And I had a very, very helpful person in the passport office who then agreed that, right, we should not be using the birth certificate, we should be using, the new
Sure.
certificate.
I just have a question that I want to ask. Do you think there's absolutely no potential in the future for policy and law to move towards the direction of striking a balance? Because I think what she is saying is that, maybe for some reason there are circumstances that prevent me from getting this surgery,
Yes.
but I do believe very strongly that this is what I want to be. So
I totally agree with you, but there you go.
yes,
Unless you see, I would imagine there would be a policy dilemma, unless you recognize a third sex.
I was wondering if there's any way that, the law could take into consideration other factors. For example, I understand from my knowledge of law that in proving against certain criminal cases, for example, you don't just look at exactly what is written down in black and white, but you consider the circumstances surrounding it as well. So is there any way that the law could take into consideration these circumstances? For example, you could look at more like her history, what she has been, doing in the past few years and stuff like that, rather than just always basing the law on a piece of paper, which is your birth certificate.
The question
Let's-
of the law is the policy maker, right? Then once the policy makers decide what ought to be the law, then it goes into the drafting of the legislation, then it goes into all the consultations, and then it comes into legal force, and then it goes into the final stages of, as and when it arises, how that law is applied to different circumstances. So we are actually have to go back, right, to the start, right, and the start would be the policy makers.